If you want to succeed on YouTube, you really need to master one thing. It's the most important quality of a creator, and I will tell you why and how you can use it to deliver incredible content. Hi, digital chicks. I'm Darren, and as women, particularly women over 30 or over 35, we are balancing a lot. So my goal is to give you content strategy and storytelling techniques that allow you to build a content business on your own terms. So the idea for this video actually came from another video of mine, a video about the trust crisis that we're in. We've been in for quite some time, and how creators can build trust, navigate building trust in this time of distrust. And in it, I talked also a little bit about that we're also simultaneously in an empathy crisis, and sort of teased that I would like to make a video about it. And someone commented on that video saying that they were very interested in that as well. So that's exciting, and I'm excited to talk about empathy as a tool, an important tool for creators in creating content that really means something to your viewers. But first, let's talk about what empathy really means. So I looked it up, and this is the definition. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. If we think about it in the context of content creation, empathy means understanding your audience's pain points, their struggles, their needs. What do they enjoy? Like, it doesn't all have to be negative, right? What do they enjoy as well? And by understanding that, by understanding their perspective, you can create content that truly speaks to them on an emotional level. Now, an empathy gap is an interesting thing. It's kind of a horrifying thing, but it's also an interesting thing. What is an empathy gap? Well, an empathy gap is when we fail to consider how other people may be affected by their own emotions. Like, we can't process that. And if you want an example, this has been happening recently with chatbots, right? If you've ever engaged with a chatbot, can seem pretty human, right? They can respond to your dialogue, your prompts. They usually respond in a vernacular kind of way, right? You know, if you engage with ChatGPT and you're giving it prompts, it will respond back in what seems like a voicey way, right? They can provide solutions, but they have an empathy gap that can actually be quite dangerous. And Hollywood exploited this with Megan, right? If you, I don't know if you saw that movie, but you probably saw the ads for it at least, right? The robot, who's a doll actually, but a robot doll, had an empathy gap. And so it took a direction it was given, which was to protect the little girl, and applied it without empathy, ultimately turning into a monster, right? I mean, that's the Hollywood version, but there have been other incidents with chatbots having an empathy gap. Now, as creators, we can't be chatbots generating videos based on only data sets. We can use data. Data is important. I'm not saying don't use it, but we need to put ourselves in our viewer's shoes and empathize. But to understand this further, we need to understand the difference between story and narrative. Story has a beginning, middle, and end. It is what you think about when you pick the topic for your video. You think about your hook, right? You think about your talking points. It's what goes in your thumbnail and your title and the curiosity gap between them, assuming you understand curiosity gap, because many times I feel like I don't. but I'm getting better at it, I think. It's what gets people to click on your video, and hopefully what gets people to keep watching, right? It's the story. It's the story in the video that has a beginning and it has a middle and it has an end. And the way creators have told stories on this platform is to think about what the viewer is struggling with and then make a video that solves it. That requires empathy. You need to empathize with your viewer in order to feel their pain points so you can help them. That is literally putting your viewer first. Narrative, on the other hand, is ongoing. It is the story across your channel. It's who you are. It's your motivation. It's your backstory. It's the conflict on your channel. Hopefully you have one. The interesting thing about YouTube is that the narrative is not just yours. I believe that social media storytelling is a sharative, not a narrative. You are sharing the narrative with your viewer. So your journey and your empathy for their journey is what makes a viewer connect to you, and it gives you that shared narrative, the sharative. Your ability to empathize may get your viewer to engage in the story in a video, but your viewer needs to connect with you if you want that viewer to invest in more than one video. Now, what are some ways you can develop your sharative with your audience? 1, create a persona. I like to develop an audience persona for my viewer, and I like to use a picture. I'll go and I'll search for a picture. It really helps me to visualize a person, right? So I would do that. And I also like to give her or him or them a name. That also helps too. It helps you visualize who you're creating for. It also helps you visualize who you're talking to. And it will help you develop empathy for them. 2, personalize the analytics. Look at your video performance metrics, but what separates you from the chatbots is being able to take the data that is presented in those analytics and develop a more human picture of your viewer and empathize with that human picture, right? You're looking at which videos resonate the most, what topics get the most engagement. This helps you to paint that more human picture of your viewer so you can connect with them further. This is what separates you from chatbots. Number 3, engage with comments. Take the time to read and respond to your comments. Not only does this give you insight into what your viewers are thinking and feeling, it also creates a relationship, and that's important. Number 4, be expressive in your videos. Emojis are effective for a reason. I love emojis. I really do. When you show expression on your face, it triggers an emotional response back. So be expressive in your facial expressions, be expressive in your words, be expressive in your gestures, not as I don't know, I just lost the sense of my hands now and I'm doing things that are just weird. So be expressive, but don't do what I'm doing, which is I feel like my hands just became claws or something. Just be you, tell a joke, make a face, be expressive. Number 5, find ways to personalize the problems you're solving for the viewer. Don't just be keywords. Have you been through this too? Is that why you want to help them? Don't make it only about you because you'll lose them, but sharing a personal experience that grounds your advice and helps them understand why you care makes it a shared experience. Now, I'm going to be talking a lot about storytelling on this channel, particularly social storytelling, something that's very important to me. Also episodic storytelling, that's my background. And I love the idea of those things merging in a way that's very interesting and new. So we're just scratching the surface here. So I hope you're here with me on the journey, because I'm excited to be here with you and hear your stories and watch how your channels evolve. But in the spirit of this topic, I have linked another video of mine here, and I'll also link it in the video description, about how we can build trust during a time of distress. I talked about it a little bit earlier, which I encourage you to check out if you haven't checked out. Until next time, keep creating, and I will see you soon.